If you're in a relationship where you are constantly making yourself smaller to meet the other person's needs, that relationship is misaligned with who you are authentically. I think there is a really simple way to assess the relationships in your life, whether you're talking personal or professional, and know without a doubt whether they are a relationship worth putting your time and energy into. When you look at the relationship, do you feel yourself having to make adjustments that shrink who you are or make your capacity smaller simply when you are around them? It could mean that when you are around this person, you are guarded with what you say. You don't feel like you can speak freely about things that excite you or things that you're worried about or things that are at the core of who you are. It could be in difficult conversations where you feel like every challenging conversation you have with this person, you're having to be the one that compromises more than the other person because you don't feel heard, or you know that if you speak up and advocate for your boundaries, there's going to be resistance or gaslighting, or they're just simply not going to care. Maybe they even threaten the relationship because you spoke your mind. Or maybe in the relationship, you find yourself having to give up aspects of who you are in order to make the relationship work. So it could be things like hobbies. It could be the choice of job you have. It could be how frequently you connect with other relationships because the person you're thinking of disapproves for other people you hang out with that give you joy or energy or support you in who you are. There are a lot of ways that you can shrink yourself in any relationship, even in the professional environment. Maybe it's a boss you have that constantly asks you to do more in your job than what's on your job description without any sort of recognition or acknowledgement of the effort that you've put in to go above and beyond to meet their needs in the business for maybe something that they should have been doing themselves to mitigate the problem that's in front of you. Maybe they're a boss that never will consider a raise or promotion or anything like that. Maybe they're a boss that talks bad about your colleagues behind their backs rather than dealing with the staff they have. Maybe they're a boss that expects you to train others without, some sort of willingness to acknowledge the effort that's needed to do that. Maybe they're a boss that doesn't listen to your ideas for improving the work environment, or has no inclination that things like staff morale is actually really pretty low in that workplace. Or maybe it's a workplace environment where there's high staff turnover that is completely unnecessary, that your workplace is not a seasonal workplace, it's something that's year round, and yet staff after staff after staff continue to leave, and they're all leaving for the same reasons, and that reason never seems to elicit any amount of positive change in the workplace. These are employers or managers that require you to be smaller than who you are. And it's an indication that you're in a workplace environment that's misaligned with who you are. I challenge you to assess all your relationships and see which ones are allowing you to thrive and grow and celebrate who you are as a person, and which ones are challenging you to be smaller and shrink and appease the other person's needs no matter what they are. And those relationships that are in misalignment with you, I challenge you to find ways to either end the relationship and walk away, or make that relationship one that is not dominating your social circle. And that can be very challenging and triggering to do, especially if it's people that are in your family who socially, or I guess societally, is an expectation that you keep in your life. But when you look at your life, it's only you that gets to live it. There is no one else living your life but you. And you've got one life to live. And if you are spending it making yourself smaller in order to suit the needs of everyone else around you, it's not really your life that you're living. You're not really living anyone's life. You're just having a shell of a life. And so if you are able to reduce those relationships that you are making yourself smaller in, it gives you room to welcome relationships that actually help you grow and are appreciative of who you are as a person. And let me put this another way, because sometimes that's scary to think of doing and taking action yourself. If you think about these relationships where you were actively making yourself smaller, and you decided tomorrow or today or right now that you are going to stop doing that and just 100% be who you are authentically, damn the consequences. Are these people going to stick around? Or are they going to get their knickers in a knot and become offended that you've decided to be who you are as a person, and either have issue with that and become argumentative, or completely walk away because you are no longer there to be their subservient person to do whatever it is they want you to do? And if they are going to be argumentative with who you are as a person authentically, or if they are going to walk the other way because you finally stood up for yourself, then they were never meant to be part of your life to begin with. And it's time to let them go. Let me know in the comments. Let me know what sort of things you got going on in your relationships. I'd love to hear if you found yourself making yourself smaller in certain relationships and not others, and why that is. Let me know.